Hi, this is Alex from Miniature Cannon Technologies. This is going to be a video tutorial on how to fire one of our miniature cannons. So I'll go through the different materials you're going to need, and then I'll go step by step how to load and fire your miniature cannon. So you're going to need safety glasses, first and foremost, very important. You're going to need gunpowder, or type of black powder specifically. I'll go through the different types of black powder in a second and what will work and what won't. You need your ramrod. Each cannon comes with a brass ramrod already, so you'll have that. You also need cotton swabs, a paper towel. A paper towel is used for wadding, so you rip off little pieces and use that for wadding. You'll need cannon fuse. The type of cannon fuse that you need is, it's usually called Chinese visco fuse or visco fuse, and it needs to be 1.8 millimeter in diameter or less. So you can use firecracker fuse usually works, but as long as it's 1.8 millimeter or less in diameter, it should work just fine. Also, you're going to need a fire starter and a pipe cleaner, or instead of a pipe cleaner, you can use a 5/64 inch drill bit. That'll actually work a little bit better than the pipe cleaner, but the pipe cleaner will work just fine. For these miniature cannons, you have to use black powder or some type of black powder substitute. You can't use modern smokeless powders for sometimes used for reloading and that sort of thing. You have to use black powder. Now, black powder comes in different granulations. The more Fs, the finer grain it is, and the better it will work in your miniature cannon. I recommend you use GoX. This is the brand GoX black powder. It's real black powder, and if you can find 4F or FFFF granulation, this will work the best in your miniature cannon. Now, you can also use 3F. That'll work okay too, but 4F will work the best. Now, you can also use a black powder substitute like Pyrodex or Hodgdon 777. These will work okay too. The finest you usually be able to find is 3F. It'll say the FFFG equivalent, and this is also the FFFG equivalent. These will work okay too, but the 4F black powder will be your best bet, and that'll work the best. Okay, the first thing you need to do is put your safety glasses on. Then you need to make sure that the bore of your cannon is completely clean. The best way to do that is to take a cotton swab, insert that into the bore of the cannon, push it all the way down to the breech, so it's all the way down against the back of the bore here. Twist it a few times and put a little pressure in there. Pull it out, look at it, make sure it's fairly clean. This is a little bit dirty, so I'll go ahead and turn it around, clean it out again. And also make sure that your vent, or also called the fuse hole, make sure that's nice and clean. So you can use a pipe cleaner or your 5/64 inch drill bit. Just kind of stick it in there with your fingers and make sure that's nice and clean. Okay, the next step is to insert the fuse. Now, you want to make sure that the end of your fuse is a nice clean cut. It helps you use really sharp scissors and it's not frayed out or anything. And this will help you insert the fuse into the fuse hole properly. So what you want to make sure to do is to push the piece of fuse all the way into the bore of the can, so that it's all the way down and actually into the barrel. You don't want it out like that. You want to make sure it's all the way in. And a good way to check that is to take your ramrod, put it into the barrel, and then if you push it all the way in, eventually you'll touch the fuse, and what will happen is the fuse will wiggle, and that means that your fuse is all the way into the barrel and seated properly. Alright, next thing you want to do is measure out your black powder. Now, this isn't super scientific. You can just kind of eyeball it. If you have a 22 long rifle shell, an empty shell, you can use that as a scooper, and that'll actually measure out almost exactly 5 grains of black powder, so that'll work really well. But if you don't have one, you can just eyeball it, and it's not too hard. I take an index card and just kind of fold it in half and make a little funnel. So you can take your powder, and you want to use just a little bit, just about the size of a pea, as I usually tell people. So about like that. That might be a little bit much. It doesn't take a whole lot. It's about like that. And go ahead and pour that into the muzzle. Now you want to make sure to keep the cannon pointed upright for this, because you want to make sure that that powder stays back towards the breech end and doesn't move around. So go ahead and kind of shake it down, make sure it's all in there. And what you can do to check to make sure you don't have too much or too little gunpowder is you can take your ramrod, put that into the barrel, and push it all the way up against the powder there, so stop. Take your thumb, mark off on the ramrod where that level of powder is, pull your ramrod out, and put your thumb up against the face of the muzzle again, and make sure that the level of powder somewhere in between the fuse hole, somewhere in this area, and the trunnions. The trunnions are these supports here that the barrel rotates on. Make sure that your powder level's in between there. You don't want, if your ramrod stops out here somewhere, then you have too much powder. So just make sure that your ramrod stops somewhere in between the trunnions and the fuse hole. Okay, the next step is to put a piece of wadding in the barrel on top of the gunpowder. So take just regular paper towel and rip off a piece about the size of a quarter, thereabouts. About like that, and just kind of ball it up in your fingers so it's nice and tight. Now you don't want to use too much wadding, because that'll start taking up space in the barrel. You want to use the least amount of wadding as possible, but have it fit tightly in the barrel. So kind of shake the powder down a little bit, and then take your piece of wadding, stick in the muzzle like that, and take your ramrod and push that all the way down up against the powder. Now you don't want to pound on this, you just want to push that up against the powder and make sure that there's no air pockets still left in the powder there. You can fire the cannon from here and just shoot it as a blank, and that'll just make noise like a salute charge, and you don't actually have to fire a projectile. But if you want to fire a projectile, what you do is you take your BB. I recommend you use lead BBs. This is the 177 lead BB, and we sell these on our website. We also sell fuse on our website. You take one BB, put it in the muzzle, let it fall all the way down up against that wadding, and it should roll all the way back down against the wadding. You shouldn't have to help it at all. And then what you want to do is take a little piece of wadding, just about the size of a dime, and roll that up. And this shouldn't fit tightly. This should just fit in the barrel so that the BB doesn't roll out of the barrel. So just kind of push that up against the BB and make sure that the BB won't fall out. Okay, now your cannon is ready to fire from here. So you want to make sure to find a good target, something that will help stop the BB, something that will absorb the BB, like a really thick book, like a phone book, or several layers of thick cardboard, or a piece of wood, or something like that. So you're going to set that up and make sure that everybody is behind the cannon. Nobody should be in front of the cannon. Also, you want to make sure that when you fire your cannon, that your face or your hands or anything aren't above the fuse hole or the vent, because there'll be quite a bit of powder and flame shooting out of the fuse hole straight up. So you want to stay away and from on top of the cannon. It's very important to make sure to close your black powder container and set it off to the side somewhere, because you don't want any sparks landing in your black powder container. Also, fuse can be lit very easily, so make sure any fuse you have is off and set away so that flame or sparks can't get to it. Another thing to note is that the wadding, after you shoot the cannon, when the wadding flies out, it'll sometimes catch itself on fire from the charge, and if that lands on something that's flammable, it can transfer flame and catch things on fire. So you want to make sure that downrange there's nothing that can catch on fire. Now we're going to go ahead and fire the mini cannon. So make sure everybody's behind the cannon, you're not over top of it, and that you have some sort of good backstop. I have a backstop off over to the side of the camera here that'll absorb my BB for me. So just make sure that there's nothing that the BB could ricochet off of or fly out of your control zone. Okay, so take your lighter, and it's best to light off to the side, because when you light the fuse, powder and smoke and everything will start flying up, and if that flies up into your lighter, that'll start gumming up your lighter and sometimes prevent your lighter from working. So best to light it off to the side. So again, make sure everybody's off to the side, everybody has safety glasses on that's near the cannon, and go ahead and fire your cannon. There we go. Now, after each and every shot, you need to make sure to clean out the barrel. If you don't do this, the powder residue will start building up and you can get things clogged. The BBs could get stuck, anything. So you have to, the best way to do that is to take a Q-tip, put that in the barrel just like you do it in the first step. Push that all the way in against the breech face, twist around a little bit, and clean off your fuse hole a little bit, and then take your piece of pipe cleaner or your drill bit, clean out your vent hole, and you're ready to shoot again. Now, also on the instructions that come with your cannon, there's a section about misfires. This is very important that you read this if you do have a misfire. The most important thing is if you do have a misfire, meaning you light the fuse and it doesn't fire, or the fuse burns all the way down and it doesn't go bang, you need to make sure you wait at least 5 minutes before you approach the cannon to try to handle it or fix it. So read through the misfire section if you do have a misfire to help you clear it. And also, after you do clear out the misfire, if you are able to get the charge and everything out, you need to make sure to clean your cannon really well before you try to fire again. Alright, that concludes this video tutorial on how to load and fire your miniature cannon. If you have any questions on any of the materials that we used or any of the steps of the process, just send an email to alex@minicanontech.com, or you can call us at 484-819-0492. Don't forget to check out our website, minicanontech.com. From time to time, we're constantly updating it with new models and videos and information. Also, you can download spare copies of the firing instructions from the instructions and FAQ page as a PDF, and you can print it out. Again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.